Hey, everybody, welcome.
Hey, welcome to Dating God's Way Plus.
Welcome to Dating God's Way Plus
Yes, yes,
on
yes.
another Tuesday night. Good to see
Whoop,
y'all up in
whoop.
the house. The
Yes,
Impact family, Kanisha. Hey, Kanisha, Tara, David.
yes,
Hey, Tiana.
yes.
Hey, everybody that's chiming in. Good to see
I
all
know.
of you
So glad to
tonight.
see all of you tonight. Yes, yes, yes,
Kishana on
yes,
point.
yes, yes, yes. So glad to see you guys. Yes, yes,
Nichelle. Hey,
yes, yes.
Nichelle.
Hey, hey, family. Love you guys. So glad you're here on tonight. We are so excited about tonight's Dating God's Way Plus. Dating God's Way Plus. Everybody said they've been waiting for tonight, y'all. Okay.
Oh,
They've been
my.
waiting for tonight. Wow.
Oh, my.
Waiting for
Oh,
tonight.
so so do me this favor. Um, once Dating God's Way is over, y'all jump over to our YouTube page and subscribe to our YouTube.
Dating God's Way.
Dating God's Way. Subscribe to our YouTube. Get our YouTube page up and popping.
Yes. Make sure you hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Oh man, tonight is going to be riveting.
Riveting discussion.
Riveting discussion. Um, Pastor E has done a lot of work, a lot of homework to get us ready for this discussion tonight, um, yeah, it's going to be riveting. So, but hey, if y'all would like to join us, Law, what's up,
Hey,
Law?
brother
Hey,
Law, good to
hey,
see
brother
you.
Law, I haven't seen your face in so long, bro, man. Definitely. One day we have to get together, Law. Um, so what
So
I'm going to do is I want to post the StreamYard link, and if y'all want to chime in, y'all want to call in, you
already?
can do so. Not already,
Oh,
but
okay, great.
but you can get into
Woo.
the queue. You
Okay.
can get into the queue. We won't bring you on camera. We can bring you on voice only. I think
Oh,
we can do
great.
that.
You
So
figured
when
that
you
out. Nice.
when you join, what I want you to do when you join, you keep your camera off. You mute the camera on the StreamYard app. You mute the camera, but don't mute the microphone, right?
Right.
So
For our call-in period.
for our call-in period. So I'm gonna put that chat up in our I'm gonna put that chat right here in the stream in the post, and I hope you can see it. Chat it out.
Yeah, that's Pastor E like that. Whoop, like that. Okay. It is in there. And yes, when we open up for calling, you can definitely click on that link and come on in the queue. Absolutely.
Come on in the room.
Oh, Pastor. Go
Come
ahead.
on in the room. All
Oh,
right.
oof, oof, oof. Okay, so divorce in the church. So let me first start off by saying that this is Dating God's Way. Welcome to all of
Welcome.
our faithful viewers and some of our new subscribers. First of all, thank you. Thank you guys for rocking with us for 3 seasons. Yes, you've been rocking with us for 3 seasons. So thanks for being a part of our new season 3. But when we are when we are talking about Dating God's Way Plus, we are talking about issues that go beyond the dating stage, the marriage stage, that go beyond just like the day, like the wedding day, and or like what leads up to the dating day. So we talk a lot about like engagements and all these different things. But as we add the plus, we want to start to open your mind up to going beyond thinking about just dating and being engaged and getting married, that there are some other perspectives that you need to be complete as you're ready, getting ready for marriage or dating or your next stages, right, Pastor Will?
Absolutely. David says you all are really tiny.
No, we're on the top picture. On the top picture?
On the top picture,
Yes, on the PowerPoint. We
on
were
the
very
PowerPoint.
tiny at the top. Yes,
Oh
when we first got engaged. That's actually our engagement picture
no,
at the top.
I thought he meant that we were all very tiny in our window.
Oh, okay. I think he means our engagement picture,
No,
but
if you watching us from your phone, because I was sharing the screen, so we do look
okay.
tiny in the
Okay.
window.
All right. Yeah, I think they're talking about the picture still, but
But
it's fine.
we're gonna screen share the PowerPoint again,
Yeah.
and we're gonna screen share the PowerPoint
Oh, he
again.
said the window. Yeah, the window.
Yeah, we're gonna screen share the PowerPoint again, but when we get into it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we don't have to share everything, Pastor. We can just get to some of it. Okay, let's get to it. And so there are a couple of points we want to make, Pastor, to start off. Let's get into it.
All right.
You want to start us off?
So, um, again, welcome to Dating God's Way Plus.
Welcome.
And so I want to we have a couple of prefaces here because we are talking about divorce. Um, and when the church talks about divorce, sometimes the church can be sometimes unforgiving or really damning in these situations. And so we just want to highlight these points, right? So
Yeah.
people get divorced for many reasons,
Yes.
right? So we are not psychoanalyzing why people get divorced,
Now, why
right?
individual people get divorced, we're not doing it. That's not what we're here for tonight.
So we're not going to go back and try to rehash why somebody's marriage dissolved. Okay, so we're
No.
not going to rehash those things up. That's not for tonight or
Nope.
forever. And then God way is still God way. It's still God's way,
Yeah, God's way is
even
still
if
God's way.
believers choose to divorce,
That's right.
right? And we also understand that God does not like divorce.
No,
That
he
his
hates it
so
biblically.
his institution for reproduction and recreation is through marriage,
Yes.
right? And so marriage is more than wedding days.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want
Yes.
marriage goes beyond the date on the calendar, and it goes into until death do us part.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
divorce proof isn't one-sided.
That's right.
um when people decide to divorce, or when somebody decide to divorce, it isn't a one-sided thing. So there are no sides in divorce,
Yeah,
right?
it's not divorce. Being divorce proof is not a thing because it's not one sided, right? Both people have to decide to divorce proof your marriage. One
Right.
person cannot do that alone. So it's not one sided.
And then lastly, hey Kavanta, hey son,
Hey,
we are spiritual and biblical counselors. If
yes.
you need a licensed therapist or psychiatrist, go to one.
That's it, y'all. And so we are certified spiritual and biblical counselors. We are not licensed therapists or psychiatrists. If you need that type of level, go to one. Amen. Amen.
All
Let's get into
right.
it. Dating God's way.
Welcome to
That's
Dating
what we
God's
doing
Way.
tonight. All
Awesome.
right, all right, all right, all right. So we did a case study. There was a mix of men and women that I interviewed for tonight's broadcast because me and Pastor Willie have never been divorced. We've only been married to one another. So we do not have the history or the experience of divorce. And so we wanted to tell you a little bit about our case studies. We will not be giving out names tonight, but we interviewed a mix of men and women. We also these people have been married between 5 years and 36 years. The marriages began in their 20s, some in their 30s, some in their 40s. And they some of these individuals that I talked to have been married multiple times. All were believers and some were ministry couples. So we have during our case studies, Pastor Will, I researched a variety of people that come from a variety of backgrounds, except the thing they all have in common is they're all believers who got divorced.
Wow.
And I think that as we start this conversation, I want to say we're talking about divorce in the church. We are talking about believers getting divorced tonight. So I just want to start with that as the premise of tonight's conversation.
Yeah.
We are talking about believers who have gotten divorced, who are divorced. And I think that that's an important point that we want to make tonight, because sometimes when you're on the other side of it, you can be very black and white. Like your perspective can be very black and white. Like this is right and this is wrong. And I think what we're going to get into tonight, as we look at our case studies, mix of men and women, people have been married between 5 years and 36 years. So, and in between, I had a 5 year, a 10-year, a 15-year, and a 36 that all come to mind very quickly. That these people begin marriage at different ages. When you start to think about the complexity of marriage itself, what we're going to find tonight is it's not as black and white as sometimes believers make it.
Yeah.
It's not as black and white. There are many things that happen that lead to divorce. And I think that as we really start to get into it tonight, Pastor Will, we're going to see that it is as the Bible says, that, you know, marriage is just as Christ and his church. And we talk about, you know, says marriage is a mystery. So there's something profound about marriage that really can only be spiritually revealed, Pastor Will.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's get rid of our PowerPoint for a moment. Let's chat it up before we get into our lessons learned.
Okay.
And so, Pastor Will, you know, as we get into tonight's topic, I just want to get a read on some of your thoughts and thinking before we get into this tonight. Like, you know, I proposed this topic tonight, and I'm just wondering what you think about it. I want to get some of your personal perspective before we get into some of our case study lesson learned from our case studies.
Wow. So, you know, my thoughts on divorce is, you know, I could be like very legalistic, and for divorce, and you know, in my religious way, you know, really not understanding how, you know, when I hear terms, especially like on in divorce proceedings, like, you know, irreconcilable differences,
Yeah, irreconcilable differences.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, so, you know, why believers can't reconcile, right?
Right.
You know, I mean, like we have doctrine called the ministry of reconciliation, right?
Right.
But even in that, on my human side, right? On my human side, there is compassion or understanding of sometimes people just can't be together, right? So even those things are a fight within me about, you know, can it, you know, reconciliation, or, oh, pat you on your back, it's okay, let it go, you'll get a new husband, you'll get a new wife if you want to be married again, you know. So so you know, so it's really so in those ways is when I, and my thought, because you asked me what my thoughts are about
Absolutely.
it. But at any cost, at any way, in us and our counseling marriages and encouraging marriages,
Yeah.
you know, we counsel or we marriage for people to stay together, to come together,
Yeah.
even when they want to throw things at each other, right?
Yeah.
And we try to have them, you know, we try to coach them or counsel them to put all the things down, you know, let's come to a God place, what, and
Yeah.
everything, and let's work it out. And but I understand, you know, as we said in our at the beginning, we understand that it takes two.
It
takes two, and I do understand, like when one has completely gone, it's almost at a place of,
It's
you
not
know,
almost, it is.
it is
And one person lead a marriage is over.
Yeah.
Right. And one person decides to no longer participate in the marriage, then it's over, because the two become one. And if one gone, it is gone.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, Pastor Will, from my perspective, I think that, you know, one of the things that's important is, like, we know what God's way is. We got that down pat. I think everybody has heard us personally say, for you and I, that we have always stated to one another that divorce is not an option. That's our perspective of our marriage, right?
Right.
And I'm never letting that go from my perspective. I'm never letting that go, right? And so I understand when we start to get into to conversations like this, some people want you to start letting go of your convictions. And so, like, I'm never letting go of my convictions, even though I understand that this is a choice that some people have made or have to make. You can still be strong about your convictions, right? Even if you've never been divorced or if you've been divorced before. So I think I just wanted to, give a premise that, divorce is not an option. But the importance of this fact that I want to make tonight, and I hope you singles are listening, divorce is not an option for me, but it also cannot be an option for the person I'm married. Because there is this thing called free will, Pastor Will.
Absolutely.
And as long as Pastor Willie also agrees that divorce is not an option, then it's not an option for our marriage. But if he disagrees at any point, and I pray he never will, but if he ever disagreed, then divorce becomes an option, not because it's an option for me, but because it's an option for somebody that I'm joined one with. And I think that's an important fact, Pastor Will, because some people out here saying divorce is not an option, and their mate is not saying divorce is not an option. Divorce is a straight up option for the person that they either married to or thinking about marrying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we did have conversations of asking each other at some heated times, so are you done with me?
Is it over?
Is it over? And we laugh at we can giggle and laugh at it now, but at those times it was serious,
Yeah.
But because it wasn't an option, it was off the table. Over wasn't an option at the time of that question. Even in both of our times of really being really heated at each other.
Yeah, let's get this work in. That's what it came back down to. Let's get this work in. But both people have to agree to that. So I just want to put that on the table tonight, Pastor Will. Divorce not an option. Can't be something one person saying. It got to be two-way. It got to be a two-way.
Got to be two-way.
All right, let's get into some of our lessons learned from our case studies.
Okay.
Lessons learned from our case studies, because we want to have time to bring some of you guys in for some call-ins. Lessons learned from our case study. Let's get into that one. Nope. Next. Oh, is this it? Yep. Lessons learned from our case. Yep. This is it. Okay. And so a couple of lessons learned, things that came up. Guess what, Pastor Will? Almost every single case that I had these 5 elements. Almost every single one, you guys. The first
Wait a minute. I don't see cheating in here. So cheating wasn't part of it?
Infidelity was not a main reason for nobody.
Right.
Can you guys believe that? That infidelity was not the cause or the main issue in none of the marriage issues from the 5 year to the 36 years. Can y'all believe that? Because it seems, Pastor Will, it seems like infidelity is number one reason why people think that people divorce.
Exactly.
But in these cases that I interviewed, infidelity did not come up as a major reason at all. Infidelity, I'm gonna just jump out there and say it, because we like to just go ahead and be totally transparent. Lack of sex didn't even come up on the top 5.
Yeah.
So the things that people think are the things sometimes are not the things. And that's why we're doing this tonight. It's to open our eyes to some truth around common themes around why people really get divorced.
Yeah.
It's not the things that you see externally. A lot of times what I found out through some of these conversations is infidelity started after one of these 5 things happened.
Yeah.
Lack of sex happened after one of these 5 things happened. So none of those things were the cause, but these 5 things was. Number 1, communication. That was the number 1 thing that I heard is poor communicating skills, and or somebody just stopped communicating.
Wow.
Okay? Lack of communication,
yeah.
Bad communication, or somebody at some point just shut down and stopped communicating. Communication was a big one. And believe it or not, I mean, we know, we've talked about this on Dating God's Way before. You know, me and Pastor Will have very different communication styles. And in our first few years of marriage, it took us some time, didn't it, Pastor Will?
Yeah.
To learn to communicate with one another, because y'all know Pastor E is loud. You know, I'm loud, okay? And I want to talk through everything. And Pastor Will is not. He don't want to talk through everything. He real, you know, he more reserved. He don't want to be talking about stuff all the time. And it took us time to get that gel to understand, like, what's a good communication for us both.
But also communication, being willing to communicate, right?
Yeah.
Right. Communication takes a willingness.
Because you weren't willing sometimes.
Yeah. No, you weren't. I wasn't willing. You weren't willing sometimes. You wanted to communicate your way. So,
that's correct. It's conversation. Okay, yeah.
But communication takes a giving away of yourself to communicate.
Give and take. It's a give and take.
It's a give and take.
And we've seen this as one of the top reasons why divorce really happened. I think every single person said communication. Every single person I talked to said something about communication, lack thereof, difficulty in doing so, complexity in doing so, or inability to do so. The second one,
a song just came in my spirit. All I need from you is understanding.
Pastor Will, that did not come in your spirit. Stop this now tonight. That ain't come in your spirit. Stop this other night. Woo! Understanding is what I need. Listen, you know, the second reason that came up a lot, you guys, in every case, was about religious alignment or religious agreement.
Wow.
I think that this one, I will say, did surprise me the most, Pastor Will. It's something that I talk about with our particularly our single young ladies a lot, because you know, most of my you know, spiritual daughters, all the things are single and in the ministry, right? And so religious alignment and agreement is something we talk about a whole lot. Wow. It came down, Pastor Will, to religious, not that they both weren't Christians. This is about to get deep, y'all. I hope y'all ready for tonight. That Lady J always hyping you up, Pastor Will.
The people want the song? People want the song.
Do not want the song.
Okay.
That even though both people were believers and were Christian believers, things like, Pastor Will, going to a church that prophesies speaking tongues, going to one that don't believe in that at all. Being with someone who is full-fledged in the ministry and being a person that's an option for them. Church is an option. Engagement is an option.
Yeah.
All of these things actually came up. Okay. The spouse stopped coming to church. Didn't want to go no more. The spouse out of it. This came up as a source of marital tension that factored into divorce, Pastor Will.
Well, you know, I'll say this, E. Work of the ministry takes commitment. Work of the ministry, really, it takes commitment. And it takes I'm a little older now, so this thing about free time, it's like I never really had free time. What is that? Even without ministry, it was like, what is free time? What was that? Right? So work of the ministry takes commitment, and when you are sold out for God, when you are sold out, especially to ministry, I can see where one can say, I'm not that much I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm out of that. I ain't for that. I will say this. Now, you and I met,
and I know keep what you're saying, and I say that because for real, people by nature or not by nature, but I'll say this, and y'all can help me with this. And y'all, like I said, I put the call in number. Y'all can call in at any time or dial in. When we, and
Yeah,
but
we'll get
I'll
there.
say this. I'll say this. It seemed to be people by nature are risk and reward.
Okay.
So they risk something for the reward.
Okay.
But when they don't see a reward in it, they won't risk it. So when it comes to ministry work, you don't get a reward for ministry work,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I can see where that could come in between a marriage where somebody is sold out about, the reward is the glory versus somebody who's saying, well, the glory don't pay no bills here, or
Yeah.
the glory ain't going to King's Dominion, or the glory ain't. So I can kind of see that.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say because I want to bring you back. When you whoo, because I feel Pastor Will rising. When
Yeah.
you look, when you and I met, we both were committed to ministry and everything. But I think Pastor Will, one of the things we've had this conversation, like you and I both have had seasons where ministry looked different for each of us.
Yes.
Right? Where some seasons, like I wanted to do it all. Some seasons I didn't. Some seasons I wanted to do some. Right? And like we've both varied because we've both evolved. Like people evolve. People grow up. I got married at 21, a week before I turned 22. I evolved over the years in my mindset and what I wanted to do. Right? And so I do think that what happens in this, Pastor Will, because we had some conversations about, I'm not gonna do ministry in this season or whatever. We done had that over the last 22 years. I ain't doing it right now. You could go do you or whatever. One of the things that I appreciate is always getting to a place of agreement. Even if we are not both doing the same thing. I think one of the things I'm learning in this area, and I have learned, is there must be agreement. So you have to agree, right? And this was a very hard thing for us. You have to agree for me to go do whatever, I'm going to do for the mission. There has to be agreement from you because we
Yeah.
won.
Absolutely.
And as a very independent young lady before we got married, that was rough. I was like, man, what's this about? But I can see how that could lead to divorce. Because when there's not agreement, the other person becomes resentful.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I
other
mean,
person becomes resentful.
I remember even in the times where there was an imbalance
Yeah.
of ministry work where we were committed to,
Yeah.
and there was an imbalance. And I remember some of those conversations and go back to some of those heated moments.
Yeah.
um I remember so, and and in those, I'll say in those times, and what I learned from out of that is that y'all, like, um if you're not together on one accord about what the goal is,
Yeah.
absolutely, it was not church, it's the inner workings of ministry can tear you apart, because we both have different ways of going about things or seeing things accomplished,
Absolutely.
or how God, or our assignments, right?
Absolutely. And
Or
that's
our
look
assignment.
different. That's look different every season. Sometimes you were the person with the microphone. I wasn't. Sometimes I was. You wasn't. It was a lot of give and take of having to
Yes.
understand that your season looks different than my season, and I can agree with your season even if it's different from mine.
Yeah.
It is okay. So we
Yeah.
saw
And
that continually in our
right.
research: religious alignment, religious agreement. The third
Absolutely.
area that we saw continually is lack of post counseling
Yeah.
marital counseling. Okay,
Yeah.
lack of post marital counseling. There we are. And
Mm.
so we saw that also continually, that people thought that after their premarital counseling, it was over,
Mm. Yeah.
and it ain't. Like there is work to do. And that is another area, Pastor Will, that I think we really need to get into of a lesson learned. Like
Yeah.
it's okay if you are a believer to go to a clinical therapist, counselor, psychiatrist. Like it is okay, y'all. Okay. The church, let's get into it, Pastor Will. Take this down for a minute. Let's really get into this one. I want to really get into this because I want everybody to see my face tonight on this right here. The church is not equipped to deal with every single thing. That is true.
That's true.
Okay, they don't have the licensure. Okay, the techniques, the degrees, the education. Look, we don't have it for everything. Okay, if something is going on with your heart, we can believe God for your healing, but we cannot prescribe the medication that it might take to get your heart rhythm back together. We can't do it. Okay?
Yeah, yes.
You got diabetes, we can pray for your healing, but you still might need that metformin or whatever the thing is, child. But we can't do it, y'all.
Some of the cases, I mean, you said at the beginning about, you did a case study, but some of the issues, the reason that the church is not prepared, because some of these things require case studies. It requires history and experience, and no, churches don't study that. Most churches don't study marital counseling or marital behavior to look into those case studies and do things like that. And so I can see where those areas can go null and void.
Pastor Will, a pastor does not necessarily understand how to deal with mental health issues. No. Okay, and so your elder, your pastor, look, if there's something that's going on mentally, if there is a mental health challenge, you need a mental health professional. I'm just saying, Pastor Will.
Yeah.
Okay, you having even as a believer, okay, if you're having a bout of depression, I know this not popular in this church this day, and I know people gonna come back with this, fine. But if you need mental help with your mental capacity, mental faculties, you need to go to a professional. Okay, you can, as I say to all the people on this timeline as a member of our church, you can come to Pastor E, you can come to Pastor Will, but you can also go to a therapist.
Absolutely.
You can also go to the psychiatrist.
It's both and you come both. You go to both.
Spiritual and mental health, you Absolutely. Guys. And I think this is why a lot of marriages are also ending in divorce, because one of them people in that marriage got mental. Something's happening mentally, right? And we only want to speak in tongues over it. Now, I love to speak in tongues, y'all. Hallelujah. Okay. I love it. But I also understand where there's something deeper, cycles, abuse, trauma that also needs to be dealt with, Pastor Will, with a mental health professional. That there are traumas that have happened that sometimes can be exposed to deliverance and such, but also need a mental health professional. So I just need to say that as many times as I can, because that is really taking people out, y'all. I mean, lack of getting clinical help is taking a lot of our marriages out within this here church right here now, Pastor.
Yeah. I mean, I see we have like child care professionals here, and it's, I kind of in my youthful mind, I think about it in this manner. Like, I don't take my child who needs a daycare, I don't take them to my pastor for my pastor to be the daycare, right? I take them to a specialist. I take them to a professional.
Somebody who make sure they learning.
Now, I bring them to when my child need christening and everything and spiritual support. I don't take them to my daycare for christening. I take them to my pastor.
Yeah.
Right. And so, in the same way, we have to do our mental, marital, and everything that requires that level and that kind of skill.
Absolutely. Our family, I say straight up, our family been a counselor before, and it's guess what? It's good to go. My children know if they ever need to talk to anybody, they can request it, because that door is open in my home. And so I think that's also an important point, Pastor Will, of lessons learned. The door needs to be open, right? The door needs to be open for your family, but particularly tonight we're talking about your marriage. to know that it's okay when things get out of hand and you guys can't handle it to get clinical help. Okay,
Yeah.
Pastor Will, I'm done fussing.
All right. Now, what's about the last two?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll get into those.
all right. Because I got to switch back to screens. Okay, there we
Mhm.
go.
Okay. And so, of course, finances. And I'm going to say one of the things that I found with finances is lifestyle. Okay, let's get into this for a minute. Lifestyle. Lifestyle differences is the biggest thing I saw in finances. Okay. So somebody want to live a Maserati lifestyle,
Oh,
but they got a McDonald's paycheck. Oh,
oh,
hey. Okay.
hey.
Finances. Finances also come up because the challenge of lifestyle comes up. Somebody has an expectation either of someone else's lifestyle, they need to bring it way down, or they themselves want a higher lifestyle, but frankly, they're not willing to work that hard to have that kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I would say I really value about you, Pastor Will. You know, other than Pastor Will really wanting a wife that worked, one of the things that one of the things that Pastor Will used to tell me is like, look, you can start working. You can start working, but you see all this that we got right here. Okay, this is many years ago. Our babies was babies at this time. He said, "Look, you see all this we got right here. This house with all these bedrooms stuff in it. We probably going to an apartment. I'm just telling you." Woo! We probably going to an apartment because I'm just telling you right now. With my salary, I ain't playing all these games with you. Eating crabs every week, this that. Because he got a lifestyle, child, steak and shrimp. Okay, and so I do think that it's important the finance lifestyle. It's really about lifestyle, Pastor Will, as I see it.
Yeah.
It ain't really about paying bills. It's about lifestyle.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
agreement on lifestyle? This is the type of life we're going to live with these finances.
That's good. I don't have nothing to say about that.
Okay. Lastly, this is the one that shocked. I see some people on our timeline. Jealousy and envy.
Mm-hmm.
So this one really came up, Pastor Will, about some spouses became jealous or envious of the other spouse, whether it was their space in ministry, their space in life. One partner progressed in life, more, had the availability of money, of resources. That jealousy and envy really became a big thing, Pastor Will.
Wow.
Take this, bring us back, me and you.
Okay.
Okay. That some relationships really what I heard was in life, we all evolve, and sometimes we evolve differently. There's been particularly I say with us seasons where you have progressed in your job, right? And I was steady state. Sometimes I progressed in my job and you was steady state, right? And those are like we was in and out of that or whatever, but also seasons where we evolve differently as people, right? And I think that the jealousy and envy really comes in, Pastor Will, when you're looking at your spouse in a way of not seeing them as an extension or a part of yourself.
I'd like one thing our resident psychiatrist posted today about being equipped.
Hey, me.
Hey, Mia. About being equipped with tools from a child and this jealousy and envy stuff. And is it possible that jealousy and envy sets in because we weren't equipped from a child to deal with if somebody has more than what I have or somebody has less than what I have, and we're not able to. So when it becomes as close to us as
Woo.
our spouse,
Yeah.
you know,
We can't cope.
we can't. It's hard to cope,
We
right?
can't cope. Yeah, that's what happens. I think that
Yeah,
the other person can't cope.
I can see that.
Yeah, the other person can't cope, And look, I think that these spaces, it's not to say that these spaces never will come up. I think that people will even try. I can talk about me and Pastor Will all day. People will even try to bring spaces up like this in your marriage.
Yeah.
Or how you feel about, how you feel about having a wife that's this, that, or whatever. I'm gonna tell you right now, when somebody say that to Pastor Will, somebody say that in my presence or whatever, Satan get behind us. That's it. Because ain't nobody but the devil using you. Why do you care about how my husband feel about my loudness, my, out frontness? Why does that make a difference? Why that's something you worried about? You planting seeds. You see, Pastor Will.
Yeah.
So people will even do that to you, to your marriage, if you allow them.
They will do it to you.
If you allow them.
If
Okay,
you
let's
allow
do
them.
one more thing, Pastor Will. I want the last slide now, not this one. The last slide.
Okay. The last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I see it. I see
y'all know Pastor E's sick of it. Mind your own business. That's correct. Put it on in there. Y'all know how Pastor E is. Mind your own business. Don't worry about how we rocking up here. Okay, here we go. So what's the church response to divorce, Pastor Will? Let me say this one thing before we talk about this, Pastor Will. I just thought about something I missed. Divorce affects a lot of people. That's another thing that came out of my case study. Not just the people who get divorced, but the people who went to church with the people that got divorced, the people that the children of divorce. Like, divorce really harms a lot of people. And I think that's one of the things that we don't talk about as a church. A lot of us get affected by people that get divorced.
I mean,
Even
I
when you don't
remember.
know the person, you like, man, I remember they was the bomb.
I remember at one of my former churches years ago when I was a young man, uh, probably even just a boy. But anyway, an elder came. Though the pastor stood up and said, "These two elders are divorcing," right? And man, you know how bad my sister cried. I mean, she boo-hooed the whole rest of the service. She could not contain herself. But the announcement,
Girl. Uh-huh.
affected the entire church community
Of course it did.
in that manner,
Yes.
right? Because it affected more than, their marriage meant so much more to a lot more people than even they knew it affected.
Yeah. So marriage is an example. People look up to your covenant, and so yeah, divorce hurts a lot of people, right? And I know that isn't a quote unquote consideration, because divorce involves two people. You will never know exactly what happened within a divorce. You
Look,
will never know because you weren't there.
Marvin and Vicky Winans, they divorced years ago. They even came on YouTube and made amends and apologized, and Marvin moving on and everything and everything and everything.
And people still.
And my sister still crying.
Woo, she let that mama.
That marriage just affected her because it was so impressionable on her from a young woman stage.
Yeah, I think that's another important point though, Pastor Will. Is like, this is one important point I wanted to make tonight is don't take sides.
Yeah.
Don't take what's the church? Go to the church response because let me get my points in. What's the church response? Because I let me get it in so if somebody want to come on tonight they can.
Okay.
The first one is don't take sides, y'all. Don't take sides. I think Pastor Will, one of the church's responses to divorce is they always taking a side.
Yeah.
Even if one of the people is wrong, and in most cases, both of those people go to your church. So why are you taking sides? Both people need support. Even if one person was the adulterer, the whatever, like at the end of the day, the church's response has to be not to be impartial. It's the way of Jesus Christ, y'all.
The church's response has to be love.
It has to be. And love is not taking sides. So I think that's number one. The church cannot take sides. And I have gotten caught up. I'm going to just say, I've gotten caught up in this taking sides thing of people being like, this person was the person that was wrong. This person the one that did it. And it's like, yo, supporting that person, it's like, well, what do we do, Pastor E? Because like it's an uncomfortable situation or whatever. You can support that person emotionally, just letting that person know that you care about them, that you love them, that you're there for them without getting all in their business.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? What I know it was this person because they stopped coming to church. You don't know nothing. Okay. We don't know nothing. So I think part of the church's response has to be don't take sides, Pastor Will.
Yeah. Has to be it. Don't take side.
I'm
Yeah.
laughing because me and Pastor Will talked about this earlier. He is hilarious. Don't take sides. I was very close and upfront to a divorce, Pastor Will. That really, I would say, as an adult, was my first experience with people I loved getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And I staying impartial was very hard because sometimes you're closer to one person than the other, but it was important for me to be mature enough to be impartial, to really let both people know the struggle that both people are already having, and then to have the struggle with saints. It's just not a fair dynamic. So I think having compassion is really important for the church. The church has to have compassion.
Agreed. I mean, it's not a lot to say about what the church's response is. So you're absolutely right. Church have to respond in love. The church have to have compassion. The church shouldn't take a side of anyone. The church should really gather around reconciliation. Is there anything that we could do to help you in your marriage?
The church also has to do what we're doing tonight and talk.
Right.
Open up your mouth. You can remove this, Pastor Will.
Okay.
Open up your mouth and talk. Like, I think like one of the other reasons why a lot of shame surrounds people that get divorced, Pastor Will, is because we're not talking. We're not talking about things that happen that we think are the biggest sin in America. Somebody have a baby out of wedlock, somebody get divorced, somebody do this. It's like, let's talk. Let's talk so that we create safe spaces for people who are hurting.
Is it that the church really don't want to see wounds?
I think the church values perfection. Like, Christ is perfect. Now we all have to be perfect. But the reality is, none of us will reach perfection until we reach heaven.
But even the perfected Christ had wounds.
Absolutely. Our wounds. That's
He had
correct.
our wounds.
Hey.
Stick your hand through my wound.
Yeah.
But is the church afraid to touch wounds?
Yes. Yes. We are afraid of the wounded in a lot of areas. A lot of churches are afraid of the wounded because also it exposes our imperfections as a church.
Because this is the common saying, oh, it will be all right. Everything's going to be all right. And the truth of the matter is that it's not going to be all right if you don't work it in Jesus Christ
Yeah,
to
you
be
don't
all
get this
right.
healing. Yeah, if you don't get this healing, if you don't go through the process of healing, it will not be all right. And I think somebody need to say that, okay? It will not be all right if you do not go through healing. In other words, if you get married again and you don't get healed from the first one, if you get in a relationship again and you don't get healed from the effects of your last marriage, of your baby father, of the relationship you was in before, it will not get better for you. And the church need to talk about it. It's not all right.
Hey, y'all, we got this new TV. It comes with Amazon Fire Stick. And it's a whole channel up there dedicated to love and hip hop. And it got stuck on that channel one night. And I want to say, love and hip hop and dating shows can't be your marriage counselor.
No, please, y'all. Please, y'all.
Love and basketball can't be your relationship advice. What is it? Sugar brown sugar? That can't be your relational reference.
Yeah, a movie period cannot be your
Movie
relational
and
reference.
TV shows can't do it.
It got to be this word of God for sure.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a celebrity couple to come on the show, and I'm looking up Hollywood, and they're not even listed as a Christian couple.
Yeah.
Not them per se, but I could not find many Christian couples in Hollywood that I would want to reach out to and say, "Hey, can you come on our show?" Right? So there's a there's an epidemic of um there's an epidemic of um solid Christian counseling advice, or solid Christian counseling, marital counseling that's available. So I think you should, really hear us out tonight.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to see another marriage dissolved.
Yeah.
People don't get married to get divorced.
No, they don't start off with divorce in mind for sure.
You don't spend thousands of dollars on a wedding to burn it all up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Neither can Red Table.
That's right.
Exactly, Pastor Tim or Lady J. Oh, Pastor
No,
Tim.
it's about the
Yeah.
same this time. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to go beyond TV, movies, and even your experience. A lot of times needs healing. Your experience, things that you have experienced in your past, are not good references. They jacked up references. And so being able to, see that part of the church response, guys, has to be compassion. It has to be not taking sides, but also, I hope, everybody can hear that although you cannot divorce proof a marriage one-sidedly, like with one person, there are some things that you can lessons learned from these case studies that you can take on from communication, from religious agreement, affiliation, all of those things, you can begin to take on some pieces. Okay, you can begin to take on some pieces of knowing what not to do in your marriage. If you're a person that don't communicate, you shouldn't get married. Pastor Will, if you don't like communication, tell them you should get married. It's a lot of communication that got that.
So
Why you spend $500? I mean, it's a lot of.
So y'all come on into the room.
Oh,
Y'all
yes,
can
come in the
click
room.
and
Y'all want to come in the room?
come in the audio, or post your, if you have questions, post your question, or you want
Yes.
to have a comment, you can comment.
Questions, and or if you want to dial in tonight, come on in. Pastor Will has tagged the what you do here, Pastor Will?
Yep, I posted the link.
The link here.
Um,
Okay, you
I'll
posted the
stream
link
yeah.
here at 8:05, and he is putting it here again. Yes, 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 and yes. If you want to call in tonight, we're gonna have a open for calling, and if you have questions tonight, we're talking about tonight divorce in the church. If you guys are just joining us or you were late joining us, we're talking tonight about divorce in the church. This is Dating God's Way plus, where we're talking about issues that extend beyond the dating stage. Yes, yes, and yes. Dating God's Way plus. Any call in or questions on tonight? Pastor Will, while we're waiting, any perspective that you have tonight just about all of the lessons learned? Were you surprised by any of the lessons learned?
I was really surprised by some of the lessons learned tonight. There were real some eye openers. Exactly, the church response cannot be evasive. We must be clear in our stance. I agree with that, Pastor Tim.
I think we have to be clear in our stance, Pastor Tim, that we agree that God's way is right as it relates to divorce, but we also agree that love is right. I think we have to be very, very clear on both sides of the coin. Because sometimes the church can be very clear, like divorce is wrong, God hate divorce, but not as clear on loving both people, even if one of them was wrong.
Yeah,
We have somebody on the queue, Pastor.
we do.
We do.
Where? Oh, I
Um,
see.
you see now.
Yes. Add to stream. All right, Antonio.
Hello, you're on the stream.
Oh, hello. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, I didn't know y'all was going to put me on that quick. But I just want to say thank you for just opening the floor and having this discussion, period. Because I think people, like you all said, don't really discuss this topic. But it's there in the church, but no one talks about it. And it's kind of like pushed aside. So I thank you all for just, just opening the floor and having this discussion today. It was really good.
Awesome,
Awesome.
man. You're
Thank you
so
so much.
welcome.
Thank
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Mhm.
Yeah, we really thought that this discussion was needed, especially in this season during this time. And this is something that has been taboo in the church. It seemed like, it's not a widespread conversation, but yet it's a widespread occurrence.
Yeah, it's a why it happens a lot, but it's not talked about a lot. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing. We have a few questions. I have a few in my inbox,
Oh,
and we have another caller. Let's
okay.
go. Yes.
Tiana, welcome.
Hey, hey, I
Hey.
want to say I want to say thank you guys so much for having this topic. And one of the questions that I had is that for people who are when someone gets married, how often should they, or if someone gets married and they're in the ministry, how often should they check in with their pastors or accountability person when it comes to having a healthy marriage to prevent divorce?
Yeah, that's a
Awesome
good
question. It's a
question.
good question. I think one of the things me and Pastor Will, particularly when we marry a couple, we definitely like to have the 6 month check in after the marriage. Is something is a kind of routine, but I do think that it's good to also if you got a really rocky start, maybe push that to 3 months. I think that that couple has to be attentive to what's happening inside the marriage. If you already see in the first 3 months, oh, this about to be crazy, okay, it might be better to go ahead and ramp that up some. And particularly, as pastors, we're always going to not just give the spiritual advice, but if we feel like something else is needed, we will suggest that as well. So I think that's would be my response. You, Pastor Will?
Yeah, I think you check in as often as needed, but also on the within the first 3 years, really every 6 months check in is healthy to make sure that you are using the tools that you have been equipped with in premarital counseling.
Yes.
Make sure you are using those skills and those temperances that
Yeah.
yeah, you know temperance that you have gained,
Yeah.
being patient, being loving, and being kind throughout it all, especially if you have a child within the first year of being married.
Or you
Um,
have a blended family.
or you have a blended family because kids bring about a different priority. And so
Yes.
and so within the first 5 years, within the first 3 years, 3 to 5 years of marriage, those checkups should be more often than not. Probably about after the 3.5, 4, 5 year mark, you kind of on your way.
Yeah, I would say this too, Pastor Will. There are crucial moments too that could require a check-in. If one
Yeah,
of you loses your job, that could require a check-in because
yeah.
sometimes a man feels like his manhood been taken away, or a woman feels like she no longer has anything to contribute if she miscarriages or can't have a baby. Like all those things
Mm.
happen in our marriage, right? Both scenarios. I miscarried, Pastor Will lost his job. And so like all of those were places where there were extenuating circumstances. And if you ever get into something like that, it's great to have support.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Thank
remember,
you.
marital counseling, premarital counseling, postmarital counseling, all of it isn't bad.
None of
All
it
of
is
it,
bad.
none of it is bad. And all of it isn't just you have to have problems or troubles to go to counseling.
No, a check-in is good to stay on the same page.
Yeah.
To stay on the same page. And you know what? Sometimes we went together to get counsel, and sometimes we went alone. So I do want to emphasize that too. Sometimes it was not a problem of us, it was an individual problem.
Yeah.
And when it was an individual problem, the individual sometimes need to go work it out and then come back, and then maybe we go together.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's you tripped out. I don't know. Okay, I don't know how to help you. You need to go to the pastor or the people.
Yeah.
Here we go.
There we go.
All right. Interested in knowing what the case studies, what we learned specifically around the ones that remarried. Any thoughts on getting remarried?
Yeah, have fun.
You know, now, I mean, me and Pastor Willie don't have any specific thoughts about it ourselves because we've never been remarried. So I want to just throw that out there. We don't know, particularly because we have not gotten remarried. But the thing I will say is one of the things that we learned in the case study, I will say, is that, you know, is really making sure that you learn from your first marriage. I think that's one thing. You learn from your first marriage. And also, I think it's important to make sure that you are healed enough to be in the next relationship. I think those are some things we learned from the case study. Make sure you are actually healed enough to be in another relationship, and not just saying like, I need to be married or I need to be with somebody. Like, nobody needs it per se, okay? But it's something you have to be whole and ready for. And so that's I think I would say some of the things that came up through the remarriage, that the remarriage conversations.
That's good.
I'm gonna do inbox and then we'll go back to comments.
Okay.
In the inbox, someone say, is the jealousy/envy something you can see before marriage? How do you war with that after marriage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great question.
It's a great question. I think it's I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm not sure. There could be some indications, but maybe not against you at that point in time, right?
Yeah.
It won't be directed at you. But as time moves forward, you could become a target of the jealousy and envy, right?
For sure.
So I think it's, you know, discerning the behavior, the discerning that person and the things that you think is cute. Remember, those things that you think is cute could revert back on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I used to how can I say this nicely?
Oh boy.
Before marriage, I used to like young ladies with runny mouths, right? That, you know, around the way.
Around the way girls, for sure.
Around the way. But while it was cute, when I dated it, I was like, I don't think I like this. I don't think I like this as much as I thought I did, right? And so those things that you find cute, you have to really check and say, you know what? Can this be something that we talk about that could, you know, be that we can have a chat? You don't have to counsel the person because of it, but it should be a highlight for sure.
Next one is you know, how do you stay as a person who's married? How do you stay in a healthy space? Because now you're like sharing this is from the inbox as well. Now you're sharing your life with another person or their things, you know, whether it's just a spouse or spouse and children. How do you individually stay healthy? I'll start this one. I think one of the things about staying healthy is not becoming absolutely consumed with the other person. And I think this segment has to be some time to get. Everybody needs healthy outlets. Pastor Will likes to go bowling. I don't go. Okay, that's his thing. I do not go bowling. Okay, I don't know how to bowl. I'm not interested. I'm a gutter ball person. I love to read books. I love to read books on my phone Kindle, my computer Kindle. I like to read books, and that's not something me and Pastor Will got to do together. That's my thing. I like to read them books. Okay. Now I will say, even though we're not consumed with each other, I think you also stay healthy in learning how to have FaceTime with your spouse and also have FaceTime with yourself. There has to be a both and. You have to have FaceTime with you, and then also FaceTime with your spouse, where you watch a movie together. Pastor Will, he watched some Lifetime type movies with me. Sometimes I watch some shoot 'em up with him. Sometimes, like, we have a give and take in that area because it's about the other person. So I think to stay healthy, there has to be that balance. You have something else about that, Pastor?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let's get into some more here. Okay. What if you're in ministry and get divorced because of cheating, and then get remarried again, and trying to get back with your ex, but your new spouse don't know? Oh, that bashe. Okay, I think that I think that ministry definitely has become a space where there needs to be accountability, Pastor Will.
Yes.
You should not be preaching, pastoring, deaconing, eldering if you don't have no accountability in your life. And I think that this is a space where there has to be accountability. If you're in the ministry, your marriage should be a point of accountability.
Yeah.
How you're doing maritally is a thing.
The elder I talked about that at my former church, who him announced, he didn't. And yeah, this is not religious or anything, but because of his conviction and love for God, he never remarried again.
Yeah.
Never dated again. But that was his conviction.
That was his personal conviction.
That was his personal conviction.
That was his personal conviction.
And so even in whether you married or divorced, you have to have personal convictions, or you're going to keep continuing the same cycles. You need to be delivered.
You need to be delivered. Glory be to God. Yeah. And so when you see these cycles continue, there needs to be deliverance. And sometimes there also needs to be mental professional help.
Yes.
Because question came in the inbox too about what about habitually getting married and divorced? What's that about? It's about lack of healing. It's about lack of accountability. It's about maybe needing mental professional help. And instead, somebody speaking in tongues and laying hands and putting grease on it. Don't put grease on what needs more than grease. Don't grease down. In other words, don't grease down no demon. We need to be deliverance. I say this too. You can't make anybody accountable that don't want to be accountable. So if you in the ministry and you don't want to be accountable, you're going to continue to just go out and do things, right? Like you cannot hold. Somebody once asked me, Pastor Will, how many years, Pastor Will, we've been pastoring? 6?
Ooh, I counted. Yes, 6, 7, now 6.
7. Yeah, this year is 7.
This year 7.
In that time period we've already been asked by someone who in 7 years about, well, what about this person in the marriage or the ministry, or they doing this, they doing that, or whatever. You can't hold nobody accountable that don't want to be held accountable. You can sit them down. You can say they can no longer minister across your pulpit. But at the end of the day, you cannot make anyone align themselves with God. So I think there also has to be a carefulness of like, the church ain't gonna make nobody do nothing. Pastors can't do it. Free will. Next. What do you say to people who want to get divorced?
I'm gonna go to this scripture. This scripture came to my mind.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just had to look it up.
Okay, go ahead.
And when we talk about, especially church workers, ministries, or ministers that's in the cycle, and what we're doing, and this scripture came to mind, 1 Timothy 5:22, where it talks about lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins.
My God,
keep thyself pure.
Keep thyself pure, child.
I ain't taking part of somebody else's sin, just laying hands on them.
No.
And just slapping them with an okay, keep doing what you're doing.
No.
We have we have to be careful of.
Yeah.
This the Bible warns us of.
Yeah. Yeah, keep that self pure. So, yeah, there has to be some level of accountability with things like this because we do see people getting into churches and then, marrying 18 people, sleeping with 15 of them. It's just, it's too much. And so, I think there has to be accountability in this area. But we can only be as accountable as the person will allow. We can take no part, but we cannot stop the person from being crazy and wild.
Nope.
Okay. What do you say to people who want to get divorced for things other than biblical reasons to get divorced? Infidelity and abuse. So they want to get divorced for other things.
Yeah, for other things. Yeah. Yeah, I you I'll have to ask questions about, so like, well, why did you get married? Why did you do this? And we understand that people get married for the marriage,
For
for the
different
wedding
reasons.
day,
Yeah, for
and
different
for
reasons.
different reasons,
Yeah.
right? Um, I mean, what can you say? I mean, when somebody, like we said, when somebody already made the decision to divorce, they gone.
Yeah. You can try to recommend to that person that maybe they should go to counseling, they should go to marital counseling or all of those different things. But at the end of the day, it's not only one person's decision either. It's two people's decision. And sometimes when one person makes the decision without the other person, the only option is out.
And
And
we
that's an
can,
unfortunate truth.
and we can, as spiritual counselors, we can show them the benefits and the
God's
rewards
way.
of marriage and God's way and everything like that. But they have to receive that.
There has to be a willingness.
There have to be a willingness.
Yeah, there has to be a willingness. I will say that one of the things we didn't talk about tonight, Pastor, that I'll get into right quick is from a biblical perspective, when Jesus said it this way, that when someone decides to divorce, it's because their heart has been hardened.
Yeah.
Right? This is what Jesus says, that their heart has been hardened. That was in Matthew 19 and 8. Because of the hardness of your hearts, Moses permitted you to divorce your wife. But from the beginning, it was not so.
It was not so.
So, like, hardness of heart, Jesus didn't already told us. Hardness of heart is the reason why people get divorced in reality.
And that's one scripture that I go to, because I always pick out the part Moses allowed you to.
Moses allowed you to. Jesus said it. Jesus said Moses allowed you to, but from the beginning, divorce was never a part of God's plan. That's what Jesus saying, y'all. It was never a part of God's plan. And so we got to put this Bible in here, y'all, because this is dating God's way, okay? It's talking about God's way, y'all. And so we understand that things have to happen because of the hardness of heart of one party or the other. But that doesn't make it God's way because somebody tripped out.
Thank God Jesus is coming for his bride called the church, and he's not going to divorce his bride.
Yes.
For no reason.
No reason. He even married to the backslider. Let's get it. So how should the church handle leaders that are married and they're struggling with their marriage, but yet they're still allowed to lead because of their gifts to the ministry? What we say about that, Pastor?
Wow. He said, Pastor Sam said, what say you? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Maybe one now. Who is it?
It's because of their gifts are without repentance.
Right.
Right. And so they have they have, I don't want to say a major gifting, but they have an impactful gift. However, their impact could be having negative effects.
Absolutely. Those marital problems could be leaking into the ministry for sure.
Absolutely. And they will have they could have long-term effects. So how should you handle these leaders? I was told a story a couple of weeks ago from a young man, and he divorced from his wife, but before their divorce, he said he was a youth pastor, and his father sat him down. His father was a pastor, and his father sat him down. He said, "But Dad, I ain't doing nothing. I'm not, I'm not cheating.
Yeah.
I'm not doing, I'm not doing anything." He says, "Yeah, but your marriage isn't right.
Your house ain't in
Your
order.
house ain't in order.
Come on
Go
through
sit
that,
yourself
Pastor.
down." And I said, you know what? That's love.
Yeah.
That's love that sat you down. That's what we need more of. So we need to display our love. Leaders should display their love to other leaders by saying, "Look, your house ain't right, and I love you enough that I don't want to see you be swallowed in your house being messed up."
Yeah.
So so that's I
Get your
think that's
house
how we
right.
deal
That's
with.
the answer. Get your house right.
Yeah, get your house in order.
Get your house in order. Get your house in order.
Work on your house.
Work on the house, and then you can come back and lead the people. But your house got to be in order. Any thoughts on separation? Should one refuse to sign divorce papers if they don't agree with divorcing? Come on through here, y'all. Should we just say, "Nah, we ain't doing it"?
Now this is controversial, right? Because separation. Do I believe that sometimes that there could be you need a break? In some instances, I do. But if that break is an agreement to come back together at a time, this is me. This is Willie. This is all Willie. And so that's my thought on separation. If there's an agreement to come back, and I'm not talking about a year-long agreement. I'm talking about, take some time, go on a vacation or whatever, but come back.
Come back.
And then should one refuse to sign divorce?
But let me talk about separation before you get into that, Pastor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me say my opinion.
Okay.
Because it's an opinion. Me and Pastor Will has never separated before. The most Pastor Will has done is went to take a trip a couple of times. Me too. And that's okay, right? And we always came back. I think that one of my thoughts on divorce on separation is it has to also go down to, Pastor Will, the motive in which you separating.
Okay.
If somebody is separating on grounds of like they really think it's over anyway, they just trying to take the next step to divorce, then it's like, I don't know, like that's not really separation, or that's not really trying to reconcile. I think separation only works when there is counseling and or work that's being done during separation.
Yeah.
Because if not, you ain't coming back together.
But and I'll say this, and I'm not sure this is even touching this, but I'm not going to counsel you to stay in an abusive situation.
Never.
Whether it's verbal abuse or physical abuse, never. You leave. You get out.
Never.
Nobody is holding you into an abusive relationship.
No.
Never.
But this separation, because you too immature to deal with marriage, it's a no for Pastor E.
That's a no, right?
For Pastor E, it's a no. You too immature to deal with marriage. You need to go to the people and mature and growing up.
Yeah.
It's a no.
Yeah. So should one refuse to sign divorce papers? Again, outside of if you're still fighting for the marriage, if you're still fighting and you're praying to God and there's a chance, and if the Lord doesn't not lead you to sign the divorce papers, okay, so you can refuse.
I'm gonna fight back, Pastor. I'm gonna fight back on this one.
Okay, you can, but should you continue to refuse? Sometimes when it's over, it's over.
Yeah, I'm gonna fight back on this one, Pastor Will, because
go for it.
For the people in the marriage, it has free will.
Yes.
So you really cannot manipulate God on behalf of somebody's free will, Pastor Will, that can turn real witchcrafty. I'm just saying a little
That's
bit.
true.
I'm talking
But
from a spiritual perspective, that can become witchcrafty. You can pray for your spouse to turn their heart to God, to turn to God so that they can turn their heart back to you, and all those things are prayers you can pray. But once that person has resolved within themselves that their heart is really hardened and they ain't coming back, I think some of that becomes a little bit, get remarried later if that's the case, if God turn it around, but do not be waiting 2 or 3, 5, 15 for somebody who not coming back, y'all. I said, I said, it's getting too crazy. Pastor
you gotta,
E say no.
You gotta fight for your. I think you gotta fight
You
for
have
your marriage.
to fight to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the person has free will, and you're not about to snatch nobody's will up.
No, you're not going to snatch
not
your
Jesus
will
or
up.
Holy Ghost.
Right. They're not coming back because you refused.
Somebody challenged Pastor E. I'm ready for it. Wouldn't there be aspects of free will that you would give up when you get married? Let me help you with this. There is a free will there should be a free will that you give up when you become a believer. So when you give yourself to God, you should give up your free will. You should be led by the Spirit led. Now, how many believers do you know that's living like that, and how many you know that ain't?
Should I give up my free will? Should I give up my going out when I want to? Should I?
Please don't Noel Jones us tonight. That is exactly what he said, child. Look, that's exactly what he said.
And then I thought to myself,
he said it for everybody to see. Look, I think that there are some of your aspects of your free will that you have decided to surrender. You're not just giving it up, you deciding to surrender. In other words, me getting married, Pastor Will didn't just get my free will. It's a decision. I still do have to make that decision every time, David. Right? We got another question. So we're not giving up free will necessarily. We making decisions, right, Pastor Will?
Right.
Right. And we not look, we're not Noel Jones in this tonight. We're not even getting to that tonight. Should I? You got to think that many times about should you. You shouldn't. Okay, thanks, David. If you know that your spouse is the leader in the church and is cheating, should you go or stay?
Pastor, we kind of open up with this and, about, the reasons.
Infidelity wasn't one, but what about it though, Pastor?
In our case study, right? We had a case study, and our case study kind of, it was a small amount of cases,
Yeah.
Where is it? Okay, there we go. And on our paper, on our list, infidelity didn't come in as one.
Right.
And I pulled this one back up because where you go, Pastor E?
I'm coming back. So I hit something on my computer. Sorry.
All right. So in this is what I kind of see is that infidelity is often forgivable. People often forgive. I mean, because infidelity is the result of or comes after something else has failed or fallen or things of that nature. Infidelity comes at a later time. But but if your spouse is a leader and is cheating, it's a thing of are they repentant of it? Are they repentant? I mean, if they keep doing it, evidently they're not, right?
Sure.
and other things need to happen. But at some point, I mean, they have to be confronted with this issue that
at some point in the beginning, they need to be confronted straight up when it starts. Let me talk about this, Pastor J. Lady J. Let me talk about this because I'm gonna just tell everybody tonight. I told at our former church, I told our bishop, I said, I'm gonna tell you right now. I said, let me tell you something. If you, you know this about Dickie Turner was about to happen. If you are cheating on me, anything, cheating, abusing, anything happens, I'm gonna get up on Sunday. This is my microphone, y'all. Oh no, this is my microphone. I got a real one. If you are cheating on me, I'm gonna get in front of this church and I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna get on here on this mic before I say hallelujah. I'm calling it out. I'm not waiting for Bishop. I'm not waiting for nobody. So from my perspective, there has to be accountability. But if I'm the spouse, if there ain't accountability, I'm gonna make sure it is. That's it. You ain't about to be up here laying hands on nobody and you cheating on me. That's it.
Y'all got mom waking up the neighborhood.
Lady E, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm calling you out wherever you at. The keyboard, the microphone.
Oh boy.
Shit, look at this. Look what Kavase say. Oh no, don't embarrass her, Pastor E. That person is embarrassing your marriage. You talking about don't embarrass them? That's what's wrong with some of y'all out here. You need to you start calling some stuff out to the forefront. Pastor Will now. I'm telling it. Dad, I'm telling it.
Amen.
We got more questions in the inbox. Why this is a hot topic.
Okay.
Oh, no. This is about the next one. Okay, this is about the next topic. Okay, this ain't about the next. Yes, I think there should be accountability. If the pastor or the bishop or whoever will not hold that leader accountable, and that will not hold that leader accountable, I do think the spouse, before they go, should request some accountability. And if that accountability still does not come in, then I think it is up to that spouse to create that boundary with that church. Because we definitely ain't gonna be sitting here and you cheating on me every Sunday and you up here shouting and dancing. The devil is a liar.
I can't with you tonight. You too much.
Them spirits need to come up and out, Pastor Will. You know, Pastor Eastside of this room need to come up and out.
Oh, family. It's been well. It's been good. This has been good.
It's been good. So what did we learn tonight about divorce in the church? Lord, because we done got all over the place. Thank y'all for y'all questions tonight. Thank y'all for y'all conversation. We done went over our time. Thank y'all for
thank you for calling in. I enjoyed our guest tonight that called in.
For coming on the audio and also writing comments. I want to leave with this, Pastor Will.
Okay.
Divorce is, as we've learned tonight, is never God's option.
Yeah.
Is never God's option. Like God does not give us the option unless, infidelity or something of that nature. But there are circumstances when two people, one person, somebody was not ready. And I think I'd like to leave us on that note tonight for Dating God's Way. Plus, make sure that when you enter into a relationship with someone, you are whole and well enough to be a part of a growing relationship. Your spouse is going to evolve and grow. Who I was at 21, I definitely am not 22 years later. I've evolved in a lot of areas. And marriage has to be able to accommodate growth, fluctuation, changes. I was definitely a couple of sizes smaller on my wedding day than I am now. Evolved, changed, right? You have to be able to deal with the fluctuation of life. And so that's what I wanted to leave with tonight. Divorce in the church. Be compassionate. Don't take sides. Talk about it. Talk about it. This divorce hurt, y'all. Talk about it. Go see the people if you need it. Yeah. Your pastor is good, so is the therapist.
As a church, let's love couples, let's love marriages to reconciliation.
Come on, Moses.
To reconciliation. Let's keep each other uplifted.
Let's support those who are divorced.
And let's support those who are divorced.
Give them a hug. Send them a telegram. Send them an email. Do something. Send them a text message. I'm thinking about you. I love you. God is not through with you. His hand's still on your life. There's still a work for you to do. It is, y'all. If they are redeemable, people who are divorced are not beyond redemption because they got divorced. Stop, church.
And remember, those that I have are divorced or separated, they are facing an amount of heartbreak.
Yes.
They put a lot of time and energy and hopes and dreams into a marriage that is no longer that doesn't exist anymore. So let's keep them in our thoughts, keep them in our prayers, and let's keep loving on them. Let's show them some compassion, even though if you haven't been there before.
Don't matter.
Don't matter.
Grief. They experience grief. Something has died that once was alive. Yeah. Something has died that they thought would be a part of their life forever.
Yeah.
Something has died. They are grieving. Give them some love, y'all.
Give them some love.
Love y'all. Thanks for joining tonight. Whoop, whoop. We at it again. Impact. Love y'all. Impact. We at it again. We at it again. Impact. We at it again. We at it again.
See y'all Sunday at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
See y'all Wednesday tomorrow night at 7 p.m. 6:30 p.m.
I will study tomorrow.
I will study. 4520 Beach Road, Temple Hills, Maryland.
Yeah, the courage to see you. Hey, Kenya in the house.
Kenya, Apostle Benson. Good to see you, son.